You are watching or listening to themuggo.com. This is the Accelerating Man series. Today with me, I have Bob Poliachik. For all of our F3 brothers, he goes by Intimidator. And real quick, tell me how you got that nickname.
So, Intimidator. Chinese downhill, Dana Smith, his son married my daughter. And my first F3 post was on their wedding day.
I love that.
I think Dana's goal was to keep the bridal party, sober.
Yes, yes.
So we posted it I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning, not too early. But half of the guys had never done F3 before. So a lot of FNGs that day, new guys. And so Dana's son, Zach, gave me my name.
That is too funny.
He would come over to date my daughter, and I wouldn't say a thing. We're sitting there at dinner one night, and Casey, my daughter, who married Zach, says, he's really intimidated by you. He's afraid of you.
I said, I got him right where I want him.
That's good.
That's too funny. I love that story. Every time I hear that, it just cracks me up. Your son-in-law named you.
So I got a good name, but most F3 names are not. So
yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. So thank you for joining me today. You've seen a couple of these Accelerating Man series interviews so far, so you know what the deal is. So we'll jump right in the first question. So what area of life are you currently trying to accelerate? So
currently successful at accelerating, I think, is in exercise. And it's because I work out 6 days a week. Now, my F3 friends won't see me but 2 or 3 times a week. But all the other days, I'm on a rowing machine, rowing a 10K. And I have a lifetime goal to row around the world in 10K increments.
Wow.
Which is 41 million meters. And I've been at this for 20 years.
So give us a status update. Where are you at?
I'm at 36 million plus.
So you've only got about 5 million to go?
Yes, which sounds
only
easy.
Only 5 million.
But I'm at a 1.5 million to 2 million a year pace. So it's still 3 or 4 years out.
My goodness. So, all right. How did this ever come about? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, back when I first started working, the gym I went to had a rowing machine, and I had never been on one before. So I got on it, and I was addicted. The first couple times because you can control your pace. I guess most rowing races are 2K, but somehow I fell into distance, and I do intervals while I'm rowing. So I rest for 250 meters, and then I push for 750, and then I do that 10 times, and it takes somewhere around 45, 50 minutes every morning.
Okay.
It's a great workout.
Yeah, I have friends who were on the crew team at Purdue, and it was they would give me all the stats about how it's one of the most one of the most intense workouts. The first 2 seconds of your workout you're already up to heart rate and using every muscle in your body and all that.
They were pushing harder than I was probably, but
if you knew some of these guys, I don't know.
So that's been a great way to exercise. So during my first 10 years, I was rowing 5-6 times a week, and then I got diagnosed with high cholesterol. So I started taking statins, and my forearm muscles just went crazy. I guess some people respond to statins this way. I had to stop rowing for a while. So I said, maybe I need to mix it up. So I put in some P90X stuff, but then that got boring after repeating. And so I'm so happy to find F3, not just for the exercise and variety part, because you never know what you're going to get in the morning.
Exactly.
But also it's just the fellowship and all the bonuses you don't know until you show up, you get too.
Exactly. So where did this whole row around the world idea come up?
That's a good question, because I don't know anybody else who's ever done this. It's a Concept 2 rowing machine, which is one of the best ones made. And that was what was in the gym. And I decided I could save a gym membership, because all I'm going to do is use the rowing machine. So I bought one myself, and I set it up in front of the TV and watch movies that my wife doesn't want to watch and stuff. but I got into, I got around 20 million. I said, I guess I'm going to keep doing this because I love it. So what can my goal be? And then, I said, I wonder how, if I could row on water around the world, what would be the circumnavigatable? I can't
Yeah. Whatever that word is. Yeah.
Through the Panama Canal and, all around the world. How long would that be? And I asked on a forum online, and they said somewhere around 40 to 41 million. So
let me do the math on this, the geography, I guess. Where did you start in your mind? Did you start in like Miami and you're going east, or did you start in California and you're going west? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think I started west.
Okay.
So I wouldn't know what, I might be in somewhere around Europe. I don't know how many meters it is across the Atlantic, but
there you go. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
What a cool thought.
I'll end up in North Carolina somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Wilmington or something.
Just pull up the duck. Hey guys, I'm here.
Give me some donuts.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So you've been doing this for 20 years, which it seems like a labor of love to me. Yeah. It sounds like you've got, 2.5, 3 years left. Is that about right?
Yeah, something like that.
So how long have you been doing F3?
About 3 years. In fact, October and late October is my daughter's and Zach's wedding anniversary. So I know that date.
Yeah, exactly.
So that morning was my first post, but it took me a couple of months to really get into it because it's so early in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And it was winter when you started, essentially.
Yeah, and usually when I tell neighbors what I do, they go like, that's too early. I'm not going to, and that was my reaction at first. So I completely understand, but there's so much more when you get into it.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So how I guess did F3 help you to, continue the journey with the rowing, but also to help kind of accelerate some of the other aspects of your life?
It changed my life. I knew I needed some. My wife goes walking with the neighbors and friends, and can talk to another person about what's on their mind besides talking to me. And I didn't have anybody like that. So I now have a group of guys that I can say anything to, and I trust them. And I wrote an article for the Muggo. So,
yeah.
So that basically is my story in that article. I forget the title of it, but it was it's something I've been looking for a long time. And I think I'm on the older end of F3 guys. I'm approaching honor status, if anybody knows what that means.
It's the status right after respect, I think, right?
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's great. So I guess before you took on this rowing challenge, before you started F3 and you kind of did some other things, what was your I guess physical routine to stay fit and stay healthy, all that kind of stuff when you were younger? What did you used to do?
So I guess we should get into how I started this, because I did the freshman 10 in college and lost my high school girlfriend that I tried to keep because I got lazy and fat. But the bigger thing I lost was my dad. My dad died at 44 of a heart attack.
Wow.
And I was 19 years old. So I didn't know at the time whether I could continue in college or if I was going to have to work to support the family or what. It was very traumatic. And I miss him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a dad while I was growing up. So I looked for mentors everywhere, really. So that really started my exercise, because I said, I got to do something, you know, not just for girls, but to try to live a long life. He did have a defect in his heart. So if I can make it to 88, I'll be really happy. He talked about things he never got to accomplish, and I'd like to accomplish them for him if I could.
What do you think he thinks about circumnavigating the world on a rowing machine?
He'd probably be happy to see this.
He might be slapping you upside the head, but like, what are you doing, kid?
Yeah, he didn't really get that physical with me, but
well, that's good. That's good. So it's the idea of getting fit, staying fit, was kind of born out of health reasons. Health, you know, that's a big perspective, or a big thing that I think all of the guys who do F3 are kind of have front of mind. But then the mental health benefits, I think, as well. You start to realize what kind of impact F3 can have on you, you know, once you get into it, and once those formations, those friendships start to form, and those bonds become evident. Which is kind of the next thing I want to talk about, which is, you know, from an outsider looking in at your life, you've kind of taken the bull by the horns when it comes to, I don't even know how to say this, but just kind of shepherding deeper conversations. And within F3, there's kind of it's not, I wouldn't say curriculum, but it's, you know, it's a bunch of questions, a bunch of what they call cue points to kind of spur guys to think a little bit deeper about specific parts of their lives, right? And you've spearheaded taking on those cue points, thinking about them, and then asking questions to the larger group through Slack. And I think you've also done like the Q Source like get-togethers, right, on Monday mornings.
So our Q Source, which is basically leadership training, is, I mean, the mission of F3 is to invigorate male community leadership. So we got to have some kind of leadership training or discussion all the time, ongoing.
That's right.
I could not find a time that would work out. I would consistently have Jesse, WWW, come Monday morning, but we'd only have another guy or two, and sometimes just us having a coffee and talking about a topic. And I'm preparing stuff based on what I've read the week, but I didn't want to just have one guy share it. So I've been searching for months about how can I get a wider audience for this. We can't meet at night. Everybody's busy with their families and kids. Morning's bad because everybody's getting to work. Yeah, who can show up late? Except for me, maybe.
Right.
But so we turned to Slack, and I started asking questions. And I think I ask better questions than I answer them most of the time. So I was hoping to not only get guys to think about different topics, but to spur the discussion. And if there is a mentor out there for this topic, they could share their wisdom. And I think that's what we're here for, is to share what we know so we all can grow.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm pulling it up right now because I want to kind of read some of the questions that you've come up with. And I didn't realize you were coming up with these questions. I thought that these were like written in a book somewhere, because they're so thought provoking, and it's funny because they're general, but they're also specific at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And each of the guys that has engaged on these questions, there's a so for all the Carpex guys that are on Slack, if you just search the channel Q Source, that's where all these are located right now. So I'd encourage every guy to go check this out, because it's incredible stuff. But like, for instance, let's see. Question 20. Do you know what makes you unique? Your wife, your teammates? You know, that's a question that, well, yeah, of course, I'm a unique person, but it forces you to stop and sit there and think about yourself and like, what are the qualities, what are the characteristics about yourself? Do you even know that? And then to take that a step further, what about your wife? Do you know what makes your wife unique? And then from a management perspective or a leadership perspective, what about your teammates or your kids or whatever? So those are the sorts of things that you're discussing, on a daily basis. And I mean, to this point, I think you've asked a question pretty much every single day.
So I'm trying to do it 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
We're on like week 6 or something like that.
Yeah. So it's funny. And sometimes, I've weighed in on a couple of these questions and I'm a dum-dum. So I'll read the question and I'll take it a certain way. And I'm like, I don't like that question. And so I'll poke holes in it, but then everybody else will jump in and kind of say their piece about it. And, I'll come away from that reading it and kind of looking at the different perspectives and be like, oh, okay, I see, I get it. Like,
yeah.
And I feel like I've learned a lot just kind of by reading what other people have written. And like you said, kind of, there are a couple of guys that, they'll write something and you're like, I work out with you in the mornings. Like, you don't seem that smart at 5:30 in the morning, but my goodness, I'm reading what you're writing. And it's like, holy cow. So it's cool. There's a lot of insight going on there.
Oh yeah. So there's so much we don't know about each other. And this is bringing out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of stupid stuff we do in the morning. And I enjoy that part. I mean, the mumble chatter, the harassing who's ever leading the workout or talking about other guys or you didn't count that right or
mm-hmm. That's right.
Recover. We're supposed to recover. All that. It's just fun.
Yeah.
You can't get all that at home if you're trying to be a dad leading your family or a husband. You don't want to be stupid in front of your kids.
That's right. So where did this come from? I mean, you saw that there was a need and you just decided to fill it? Or was there something where you thought, was there like a specific thing that happened or maybe something you read that kind of spurred you on to think, okay, hey, I want to step into this and I want to take charge of this?
So we had a Q source Q, so the leader of leadership, and he got really busy. He was traveling a lot. So he kept on asking for other people to take over for him. And I took over some, but not all the time. And I said, well, we need this. I don't want this to fall apart. How can we grow in our leadership if we're not talking about it? So we have the book. We have the Q Source book, which is basically 52 weeks. And we went through that once and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
And then it started to get old because it was the same people talking about the same stuff. And then now we're on Slack and I'm just picking a topic every week and coming up with questions about it. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they fall flat, but at least if people are thinking about it, we're growing somehow.
Exactly. Well, and I can tell you on a number of occasions, like there's a couple questions that you've asked that nobody's answered.
Yeah.
But I guarantee I've looked at it and been like, ooh, I'm not answering that one. Like I don't have the,
Well, that's the whole thing. You can ponder it or you
mm-hmm.
can start discussing it or you can pick it apart like you did. And, I was looking for a word when I asked the question and you picked out, I forget the exact instance, but you picked out a word and I said, I couldn't find a good word for that.
You're like, that's the one I was thinking. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Somebody finally came up with it. It's like, that makes sense. That's the right word. So, I mean, doing this, like you said, you've been doing this for what, like last year and a half, 2 years now? Q Source?
I don't remember when I started.
Okay. It's been a while though.
We used to meet before COVID. We met at Panera or something. And we would have sometimes a dozen guys, but it kind of just faded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, sometimes that happens.
Yep.
What were, I guess, in your time so far, like what have been the biggest fruits of your labor? And taking this over, what are some of the things that you have seen that have been the most impactful, or kind of the best things to come of it?
So personally, I wouldn't have done this if I wasn't in F3. I didn't have the drive or the incentive or the motivation to grow like this. F3 continually challenges me. If it's not Q source, it's extra credit pull-ups, or Pet Sounds put out a 100 burpee a day challenge, and that was crazy.
That guy, he's out of his
I
mind.
did a couple thousand in a couple months and then stopped. But this pull-up challenge, I mean, it's really good when your wife comes up to you and says, "Ooh, look at those arms," you know?
Yep, can't go wrong with that.
No. Yeah, or this morning's, "Oh, nice abs," you know?
There you go.
All right. This is working.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Going through this, what have been some of the challenges that you faced?
With Q source, we already touched on, how do I get a bigger audience? I struggled, and I asked people that were showing up, and we had different ideas, and somebody said, "Ooh, make it coffee after a workout," or something like that. And then you capture the guys that can stay for a couple minutes, which is good. But I kind of want to involve all of Carpex, whoever wants to participate, because we want to grow the leadership of the whole group, the whole area.
Right. And I think you've done a good job with that. I think, unfortunately, fortunately, people have become more flexible with COVID, and doing a lot more, face or not face-to-face meetings, Zoom meetings and stuff like that. People are more kind of tech savvy, and understand, hey, we have to be smarter about the way we communicate, because we can't always be in the same room together. And I think that that's opened up kind of a new avenue for people to connect and collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
You can't beat face to face, honestly. Like,
No.
to me, that's still number one. But
Yeah.
in the absence of being able to do that on a regular basis, consistently, something like Slack or Zoom or whatever is a good alternative. And I think I've seen that in our group. People have certainly taken a liking to checking in on the Q source channel, and kind of popping in when they have a thought. And if there's days when they're not feeling it,
Yep.
they can just think about it and ponder it for later. So
yeah, that's fine.
yeah,
There is a lot lost if you're not face to face. There's so much communication that happens that isn't verbal, that you might not see them. So if you're, just on Zoom, you can nod your head, but you don't see what else is going on.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
So I guess talking about Q source, but also this goal to row around the world, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you in the fight?
So it's based on my family history, staying alive for my family.
Yeah.
I want to be around. I have a goal of 88, but I could stretch that too.
Yeah. You don't have any grandkids yet, do you?
Oh no, I'm not that old. There's rumors that they may happen in the next 3 to 5 years, but I don't know.
Yeah, you never want to push the newlyweds. No matter how long it's been, you never want to push them.
That's right.
Because they'll always tell you 2 years. Every time you ask, 2 years, 2 years. That's what we did to my parents, until it was like, 9 months. And they're like, what? So.
Well, my son got a new puppy a week ago. So that's first step, I think.
Got to practice on the things that, there aren't humans. That's good. That's awesome. Yep. What do you think, just to kind of close this up, what has been the most beneficial thing to you between, keeping yourself physically fit, but also working on that mental side, doing the Q source and pushing yourself to accelerate?
So one thing I wanted to say that I haven't touched on yet is that I've tried because of my age, I've tried a bunch more stuff than maybe some of you guys have. And some of it works out and some of it doesn't. You can get advice and it may be good advice for the person giving it, but it may not be for you. So you have to find what works for you. Keep searching, keep testing stuff, and you'll hit on something. Rowing worked for me. F3 works for me. And work wise, I do that all day long. I'm a software developer, so
yeah,
I try stuff and solve puzzles all day long. So
I think it's a good thing to hear too, because a lot of our friends, a lot of guys we hang out with, it's kind of F3 or nothing. And that's something I'm learning lately, that I'm out for 4 to 6 weeks with a recovery from a hernia. Well, I guess they found a hernia when they were in there, but an appendix surgery. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the road to recovery, and doc says, hey, no boot camp workouts, no heavy lifting for 4 to 6 weeks. Like, so what do I do? And he's like, you can run. Cool. Blue Ridge training. So
not good for the upper body.
Exactly. But my wife was like, so am I losing you for 4 to 6 weeks? Are you going to get fat and sassy on me, or are you going to keep doing something else? And it's like, all right, I got to find something else to do,
Mm-hmm.
But that variety is good. Sometimes I think I can get a little too sighted in, too focused on just doing F3. But keeping the options open, keeping the different things available to keep accelerating. I think that's a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So you get my age and you start thinking about the R word, retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I could ever retire, because it seems like you fade off into nothing when that happens. I want to keep on helping people. That's my goal. So however I can help them with what I've learned through my life, through my professional life or exercise life or whatever.
Right.
Just want to help everybody accelerate.
Well, I think you have found your calling from that perspective, because I definitely know there's a lot of guys, myself included, who really appreciate your leadership with the Q Source and trying to help us to push our understanding of some of these different topics and how to be a better leader. Because it's not just leading in an organization; it's leading your family, leading yourself to do better.
Right.
So you've definitely impacted a lot of guys so far, and I hope that more, through this, we'll find that.
That'd be great,
and get some impact from that. So
I know we have the free version of Slack, so we're not keeping everything, but I am saving stuff, and maybe we can eventually have a Carpex knowledge base or something.
Yeah, there you go. We could put it up on the website. Maybe we'll get the comms guys on that.
We'd have to clear it with everybody, because I don't know if they consider Slack to be, private or what.
Sure.
But there's some excellent thoughts there that would be great to share.
I agree, 100%. I know the comms guy, so we'll have a chat. I think we all do.
Yeah, I think we do too.
Anyway, well, Bob, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for regaling us with some tales. Good luck on the rest of the journey around the world. I hope the Atlantic treats you well.
Thank you.
And again, just keep on pushing forward with the Q Source, and we thank you for your leadership on that.
Thank you. It's been great.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You have been listening to the Muggos Accelerating Man series. Thank you for checking it out. If you want some more information on the Q Source, I will put that in the show notes and the descriptions and all that kind of stuff. Check it out on Slack. So thank you guys for joining. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks.